Hey guys, it's BlockchainBrad, and today we have a very special presentation for you. It's a clarification and explanation special, and it's with none other than David Li. He is the founder of Trinity, the Trinity Network, very important scalability solution for NEO. So David, firstly, thank you so much for coming on in this special presentation today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So guys, obviously it's a serious event in the sense that something has happened. We want to clarify. Oh, sorry, something happened.
Yeah, it's okay now. It's okay.
Okay, we'll do it again. I'll just start from there. So guys, basically, we wanted to clarify exactly what happened recently with some news that came through about Trinity. So David's here. I've asked him to come on and explain these things. We're going to get straight into it and get real with what actually happened. So David, let's talk about the first issue, KYC. KYC. It seems like there's a lack of KYC in the process that for people to apply?
Because it's quite simple. We don't believe that we have the authority to keep and to check on people's passports and their very private informations. And I think most of the reason why we are doing the so-called KYC with so many projects are mostly because of the certain threats from certain jurisdictions, and we have rolled out all of it, and by excluding you from those regions. And the way we identify people from these regions are through their IP address, through their browser language, time zone setting, and etc. Not through checking their passport. We don't think we can do that. And I don't think people really care for this, because I think it's better to keep their privacy. I think the reason why they are asking about this are mostly because they are worried about the exchanges and afraid that the TNC cannot be treated on most of these exchanges as a blockchain assets. To be frankly, okay, I want to stress two things. One, I don't want TNC to become that much of a speculation tool. I don't want people in our community, too much focused on speculation. I think you have the freedom, but I don't think that's so conducive in the long run. So, but I do have to, I can assure you guys that exchanges are secured and will be listing TNC gradually. So there will be ones listing right after our, token distribution, and there will be some others, listing us later. So end of January and the start of February. So we got quite a few exchanges lined up, and I believe most of these exchanges you have heard of,
right.
And they are the exchanges that you have, in your mind.
And we can see the smirk. We can see the smirk.
Yeah.
We can see the smirk. That implies something. Some exchanges are quite big. Let's just say that. So, David, let's get back to the issue of compliance. And this is important because many countries around the world right now are pushing for compliance. We can see that, right through even in China. So the reason why people are concerned is because they want to be able to make sure that they can identify their investment. So, are you saying that you've spoken clearly with exchanges and they're okay with not having KYC?
We are already planning for the launching events. So, and also with the technology lens on. Okay, that took most of the time, but not with the KYC thing, because I think most of the rules people in the community understand are by American standards,
right.
Are with certain exchanges in the US, and this is on the record, so I have to say we're already excluding all these participants from the United States of America.
Okay.
So I think we're fine.
Okay.
And another thing is, with the token holders of Trinity Network credits, I don't care for their ONCHAIN identity or anonymity. Okay.
Right.
Because I think they should stay anonymous, and I'm pretty happy with that, because the purpose of doing this state channel is also to provide people with a privacy solution. But when people start to use TNC as a tool, as a state channel tool, or as other kind of tools, like we said previously, we're going to use ontology ID to provide their real-world identity if they choose so.
Okay.
So in the long run, the KYC issue is not a problem. And but the thing is, we have to wait and see, because we have to wait and see which kind of KYC standards get adopted by most jurisdictions, and what's the boundaries with certain details. Yeah.
And David, that's really crucial what you just said, because in many countries around the world right now, they're cracking down on the identification aspects of the blockchain. So if there is a capacity for you to work with on-chain for ID, that's something that's music to the many listeners' ears. So that's great. Thank you for clarifying that. Now, if we move across now to another issue, you talked about the use of just using IPA addresses, but I want to talk to you about getting around that. You can actually get around those things with a VPN. So again, we're talking about security. Can you address the concerns people have about security in the way you've approached this?
I think that's already taken care of, because like we said again, and we have reiterated in the community for many times, we cannot collect the sensitive data from people's devices. So that's how the website was set up during the whitelist registration. But right now it's we fix it back to the standard practice. Right. So I think this is good, because I understand a lot of people in the community have changed. These are not the people what we see 1 year ago or 2 years ago. But I do have to tell you, new people here, that we do everything we can to cope with the government, but it is not your responsibility to cope with the government. And for people who are using blockchain or having their blockchain assets, we come here for the same goal and with the same intention and ideology, so that you guys should not care so much about being so transparent on chain. I think you should be, focusing more about your own privacy and anonymity. That's the good thing. Right. To the contrary.
So that's interesting, because that is the premise of the original blockchain anyway. Yeah. So if we move across now to encryptions, this is another thing that's important. There was no SSL encryption provision on the website. So can we talk about that? Because many people were worried about that.
It is there now.
It is there now.
Like I said, yes. It wasn't there because because of the design of the whitelist registration, and it has been finished right now. So it's back on. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Let's get to the big topic, and that is plagiarism. Sorry, I've just lost Dave there. He's just cut out. He's coming back. All right, so we'll get. Let's keep going with it. Let's talk about the big issue of plagiarism, of the copies that we saw. Obviously, we're talking specifically about Raiden, the Raiden network, and articles that seem to be a match that the Trinity network had published. Can you talk specifically on that and tell us what happened?
We did, give out all the details about this incident on our website through the blog post. And like we said in the blog post, that the diagram used was indeed a copy from the written documentation. So we're sorry for that. And the reason we did it, like we do have to give excuses, like explaining why this happened. Because I was not in charge of this technical documentation, and our co-devs, they have a very different mentality. If you guys understand, the Chinese developers have a very different mentality. They don't want to spend too much time on the documentations, and because the documentations and for example SDK that's supposed to be provided for the development of the open source protocol for future developers, that comes very late. So right now they don't want to spend that much time on documentation. So that was that was a rookie mistake, because they want to keep it simple. And indeed, that diagram does explain a lot of the basic designing concept of a state channel network, which is universal. Just like we said in a blog post, you cannot rename gravity to something else because that's just how it is. And so that's the thing with the. So what went wrong was like that. But I do have to respond to a few things. For example, we didn't publish the white paper yet because of the certain reasons, also certain arrangements with new sites. We do disclose everything by new DevCon because So the article, alleged me of, copying in the white paper. We don't have a white paper.
Right.
And the other thing is, the Chinese contents. They are not copies from the reading. This is the thing I want to explain, because it is impossible to do so.
Okay.
It is impossible to do so. For example, in the original design of reading, every state channel you open a new smart contract. Do you guys know, or you guys should know, that to open a new smart contract on Neo, that requires 500 gas. That's a lot of money, $20,000 right now.
Yes.
So it would obviously the two bottom layer chains have very different designs and architecture, so it is impossible to copy it. And so you don't have to worry about the actual development, but the documentation was indeed a rookie mistake, and we're gonna make it right very soon.
Okay. And David, you've made it really clear you're going to make sure, you said at DevCon, that you're going to release the white paper. But I need to just continue on this a little bit more and just talk to this. Because people are going to respond quite rightly and say, well, hang on, in many instances you've seen many different blockchain projects have their white paper ready. And you've also said, very importantly, that it's a rookie mistake that they've done that. But this is the thing. Many people are going to say, well, why didn't you have your own documentation? Why didn't you have something that you put up there? So why did they not think about putting something of their own?
We do have it, and it was me who insisted on not publishing it. I have a very different mentality that I come to realize that I have to reconcile with the community and give them what they want. But because in the beginning, my idea was that I don't want to give people a white paper like everybody does, because I know not everybody read through the white paper.
Right.
And every aspect, every detail of a white paper will be provided by each article covering a certain chapter or aspect,
right,
and updated on the blog. And you can see it, and you care for a certain aspect, you just read the particular article. And to give a unified, organized white paper, you have a problem. That is, when you want to update it, and most of the community already has a later version, it is very difficult to update the documentation, unlike update software. So that's the idea of this. But I have to come to realize people's demand, and we're gonna release it. It's all these contents are really long ago, and it's just about piecing them together. And so like I said, we were going to publish everything by DevCon, but given the situation here, we probably do it a little bit earlier, and it will be still a very brief introduction of the technology used, because when you really want to see detailed technical, introductions or, explanations, that's for developers, and we will publish that separately on the GitHub wiki. Okay. That's another thing. Also, GitHub thing, many people talk to us, say, oh, it's empty. It's not empty. And the reason is we already have the prototype ready, and all the codes are ready. It's just there, and we haven't uploaded it yet. Right. And I do apologize to everyone, because in our previous video, Brad, in our previous video, we have a very different timeline, and due to that. That timeline was fine if we executed that way, but right now it's different, and because of certain threats, legal threats I should say, we have to advance the sale. Right. So it looks a little bit not that prepared. It is prepared, and all these things will be released. So that's what I have to say.
And David, we really appreciate the fundamental point that you made about community, and that you are responding to the community. What I did want to ask you is, did you have that documentation? Did you have the white papers and that ready before this event happened? Because obviously you've alluded to that it was already there. You're not preparing documentation now as a reaction to it, are you?
These documentations have been prepared even before the private round, before we started to pitch the private investors. Okay. But I only showed it to a very handful of people. Okay. That is because, this is different, that you're going to launch something on Neo, and it's a very important infrastructure. So, for example, Eric told me that we should save most of the details for the new DevCon.
Yes.
So that's how this arrangement happened.
Yes.
And if you really want me to say, oh, okay, show us the white paper right now.
Mm-hmm.
We'll try and edit it and to show it to the public version.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain contents of the white paper carries sensitive information that cannot be disclosed to the public at the moment. It is about our long-term development strategy, and which is not suitable for the public at the moment. I assure you guys that is a good thing, but that's all I have to do right now.
Yep.
If you think about this, have you ever seen any good software company give out all the strategies and the plans for their future before they actually do it?
Mm-hmm.
There are certain reasons they cannot do it, right? Even for the blockchain community.
Right. I think what's interesting about your point, though, is you've made it clear you have the white paper already. B, you had clear reasons why you didn't disclose some of it, but you are going to release it, and you're listening to the community. So we appreciate that sincerely. Let's talk about Raiden. Now, with Raiden, they've actually released some micro trials as an example. So I'm raising that only because in your website specifically, you make it very clear that you reference Raiden, you reference Lightning as examples of what you are in design.
And Eternity, by the way.
Yeah, and Eternity. So let's talk about, is there any plan to give us an indicator of a trial or some sort of technological release to give us a picture?
Well, here's the thing, because we're going to do the demo on DevCon on how this is done, standardized transfer through state channel. But we will open the public testing on NEO's testnets right after the Spring Festival, so end of February and the start of March. And if the test on the testnets is good, is smooth, we're gonna test it on the mainnets of NEO, and after that test, we will integrate it with the user app and then launch the app. Right. So that's the timeline. That's the timeline. So anybody who's from a technical background and want to get involved, please get in contact with us, and certainly we will appreciate your help. And on the other hand, about raising about Eternity, Lightning, what we're trying to see, I understand many people are new here, so you don't understand the basic here. For example, can you say that NEO copied the Ethereum for calling the button layer technology as blockchain? That's how it was. Yeah. Because we use all the similar concepts and design and design high level design. Right. That's the implementation. Okay. So we're trying to do something similar, realize something similar in a similar way, but the implementation will be very different, and it will be tailored for our each individual different blockchains. Right. And that's the first difference. Second difference, which already makes it not copyable. Second thing is that our strategy as not as simply as an open source protocol, but also integrated with the plans of the company, so as to make this adopted and implemented as soon as possible. Not that simply focusing on the development of the protocol, which will be not so ideal for the people in the community, because many of them are not that tech savvy, and if we do it that way, they cannot get involved at all in the for the initial probably 12 months or 24 months. Yeah,
that's interesting. So do you have any more to say on that question? Did you want to add any more?
What about
well, let's just go on to the next part, which is talking specifically about an article. The article was written by a crypto investor on Steemit. And this is really important to discuss because I want to unpack the difference between on-chain and off-chain scaling, because you are an off-chain scaling solution. We know that we've talked about this in the previous video, that you can reach millions, if not more, transactions per second, a really exciting achievement. But there are suggestions that through blockchains like EOS or Dash even, that they can operate on-chain. They can do quite amazing things. So can you tell us exactly what the difference is and address this?
Okay. So right now we all know that NEO has the highest, transaction throughput on all the compared to all the running minutes. Okay, not through not compared to those ones who declared themselves to be higher, but not running it. And but on-chain scaling and off-chain scaling are two totally different things. On-chain scaling is about making a transaction on-chain, and no matter how hard they try, scaling this through all the solutions we have available right now. For example, what Neo probably will adopt, and Ethereum already on the path through sharding or through some other setups. They can raise the transaction throughput to 5 figures, to 6 figures. I don't think they can reach 7 figures, but that's all.
And that's on-chain. To clarify.
That's on-chain.
Okay.
But what we are looking with, if you really want blockchain to become the future infrastructure for everything, for our society, if you're talking about that level, you're gonna face more serious problems. That is with multiple decentralized applications running on the blockchain, and not with every application, but with every user of these applications. They will generate tons of transactions per second, and that is impossible to all be included on the blockchain. And like we said, not because it's inefficient and unnecessary. So that's why you need off-chain scaling. So off-chain solution is about packing all their transactions together in a way that cannot be falsified as well. We also use the the certain aspects of a blockchain, like timestamp, like a nonce, like a on-chain settlement, to confirm that there's no falsification. But you get all these transactions packed as one on the blockchain. So that saves everything.
And what you're saying also is that there's an essential part in this, whereby yes, you need somebody to be a scaling solution on chain, but you also need that off chain so that you can have that reduce that computational pressure. So
exactly.
Obviously,
this is like two legs of one mind, two legs of one mind. So you're gonna work with two legs, not just one leg. And we are the other leg of Neo. And if you say okay, we're gonna just do it through on-chain scaling, like many people are doing with Bitcoin right now, I think that's silly. Because if you keep doing that, the block size will increase indefinitely. Indefinitely, and making it impossible for an individual to operate a full node in the future, because you keep increasing the block size. That's the case with Bitcoin. And what happens in the end is you're gonna have the whole history of Bitcoin so big that you're gonna need an entire database, or let's say like a giant supercomputer, or a cluster of servers to host all those data. Not possible for individuals. That will create decentralization. And we know that will match the interests of a certain group of people, and that is not good, right? So that's why people were saying, okay, if you really know the technology, you will support Lightning Network, because it's the ultimate solution. It not just solves the problem today, it also solves the problem tomorrow. And in the Reading or Trinity, all under the same concept. Under the concept. Like again, it's a very high level. Just implement it differently, but we're trying to solve the same problem in a similar way.
And it's great. Thank you so much, because so many people were confused about the importance of both of those parts, of the on-chain and the off-chain components of scalability. Now you've made that crystal clear for the whole world to understand. So let's move across now to the reciprocal benefit. So the benefit of Neo and the benefit of Trinity in this agreement. Why do it? What's the benefit for both of them? Can you talk firstly on Neo's benefit, and then what's the benefit to finish off on your project of Trinity?
So basically what happens is, okay, you guys look at Neo. Neo has a good transaction throughput right now. It will be better through on-chain scaling in the future. But all of this has nothing to do with the DApp system, I can tell you, because it will multiply our performance. But the key is you're going to have multiple, a lot of DApps running on Neo in the future. And all these DApps have their transaction logs, okay, like tons and tons of transactions. And all of them run through Trinity. And the Trinity will reduce those millions of transactions into like hundreds of thousands.
Right.
and all thousands, and all of them will be written on chain. So what happens is, what you have like you have like a TPS of 1,000, you support 1,000 transactions per second on Neo. With Trinity, you'll be actually with that 1,000 transactions supporting 1,000,000 transactions in the future.
Amazing.
And that's how we say Trinity is the layer to support and to serve as the funding stone of the smart economy
Right.
of those decentralized applications, and let alone the basic benefits for all new users, that you're gonna have a very low cost instant payment solution, privacy solution let alone, and this payment solution will allow you not just to transfer a token like instantly for one time, but many times. So
Wow.
if you look at it, I know many people ask me, Neo is already so fast, why you need it?
Mm-hmm.
They are saying, let's say, if we look at the user experience aspect, you're looking at people who are doing transactions on Bitcoin, they have to pay a very high fee and wait for quite a long time, 10 minutes per block.
Right.
And Ethereum is also very slow compared to Neo. Neo is 15 seconds per block. You can expect your
which is pretty good. Let's be honest, that's pretty good.
Yeah, by every 15 seconds.
Yep.
And the finality is one transaction.
Right.
One transaction finality. It doesn't do good before you do it through Trinity Network. You're gonna take like a 2 or 3 seconds to establish the state channel and then you finish the CO instantly.
Okay.
So a few seconds and a 15 seconds are not that different. But the thing is, if you keep on transferring, if you're, for example, doing high frequency trading,
yep.
or you have a long-term relationship with your with your counterpart, the other end of the recipient of the transfer, you will do this a lot of times. So, for example, if you do it 4 times, it's still instant, but
Right.
Neo will take a minute.
Right.
But Neo will take a minute then. Right. So if you go on the calculation, it just adds more benefits of using Trinity. That's for normal users.
Right.
That's for normal users, not really for applications of business or corporations or decentralized applications.
I see. And just getting back to that, you raised a really important part with business and enterprise. That's another part of it too, because let's be honest, you're also going to service those huge corporations, those huge consortiums, because scalability is an essential part. So again, without going through everything, your facility provides for millions, if not billions potentially, in another way. That's why you're called Neo's girlfriend. That's why you are Trinity, because you provide a service that is not on-chain, and Neo will operate a very good, very scalable solution on-chain, but you are the counterpart, essentially, and that's going to be serviceable.
Exactly.
And you're going to be serviceable in enterprise as
Yes.
well.
Of course, a few days ago, a top Chinese crypto media interviewed me and asked about if we have any partnerships right now, if we have any partners right now, and we said, I answered explicitly, we don't, because it's very simple. The product is not delivered yet. It's not tested yet. And when it becomes available, we will be using it to serve the corporate clients, which is queuing up right now at our doorsteps at Hangzhou and Shanghai, I tell you. And because if you look at the team, we have a lot of connections in the traditional background with different internet companies, and I can tell you they are already queuing up to use it. But we cannot say, okay, we are partners, so we are not something premature. No, we have to deliver the product first, and then we announce it. By the time we announce it, it's done.
Right.
Before that, don't do it. Okay. Not just me. Okay. A lot of people have been doing this in the past year frequently. This is a known way to do things in crypto. That is to announce a partnership with a certain project or company, and feed on that for PR. I think, well, we just want the thing solid, okay? If we do that, we have to have it there, not just grand talking. Okay?
Exactly. And if we talk about, let's move on to the real world. You've basically covered this anyway, but we'll address it. What is essentially the real world value in terms of applications for the Trinity network? You've made it clear that partnerships are lining up. enterprise is there. But can you give us some examples of just exactly how it could work in the real world and why it's so valuable?
It's simple because if you want to use a blockchain, to be honest, many people have been asking and talking about this for 2 years right now.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, and seeing why blockchain hasn't, seen mass adoption, seen mainstream adoption.
Yeah.
Because it cannot. Because of the performance. Okay. Right now, our generation is not that caring about decentralization.
Right.
So they cannot take the performance sacrifice because of decentralization and treat it with good performance. So for now, for the enterprises, for companies, if they want to use the blockchain, the biggest problem before them is about performance. Nobody can accept like a 2 digits or 3 digits of transaction throughput per second. That is impossible.
Right.
Okay. You're gonna need the transaction performance capacity like we have.
Right.
And serve as an interest point to the blockchain. So all these people will not be directly using the blockchain, but using us, and through us also enjoy the benefits of a blockchain.
So
yeah.
Well,
so if you want, okay, go on.
No, you go on. It's fine.
Yeah. So I was trying to say, you look at these companies. The first thing they want to get into the blockchain world is to find a solution like us.
Right.
Otherwise, they cannot get in and use a blockchain at all. Okay,
Exactly.
there is another way. They can launch their own app token, which is not technically utilizing blockchain.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. Think about this. Amazon tomorrow launches a token, app token, and everybody uses that token to buy their services and products.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible? It's impossible because no matter which platform they will be using, they'll be crashing that platform.
Exactly. Yeah, and if we go across, you talked about this before with Lightning, and you talked about with Raiden, but you essentially stated that each of the premises for the three are similar. But if you could tell us in a nutshell, what would be the one thing that sets Trinity apart from the other two? To really just elicit one component that says, this is why Trinity is the best of the three. Because I want to know that.
Because Neo is the best of the three.
Why?
Compare the bottom layer blockchains. Because of the design of the Neo's architecture, the programming language, and the structure of the smart contract, and this is the not just most efficient, but most importantly, most secured. Ethereum adopts a new Turing complete language, and which is a brand new Solidity, so that is quite complicated, and creates rooms of those logic bombs. Okay, logic bombs within the program. But for Neo, all these problems doesn't exist.
Okay.
And on the other side, like we said repeatedly, it's most about the difference between the bottom layer chain. And on the other side, Neo has the Neo smart contract system makes it everything happen on the contract level, not on the bottom layer chain level. For example, I tell you, Neo smart contract requires 500 gas.
Right, it's expensive.
Create 500 gas, that's $20,000.
Exactly.
That's the threshold, which makes it impossible for a second layer protocol like us to create a new smart contract for every new transaction or new user. Okay. But Raiden does it. So that's a gigantic big difference.
Right.
So all in all, we'll have to say, because there's a lot of improvement, refinement, and the polishing work waiting for us to do, and waiting also for the others, community contributors to do, to better the Neo network.
Absolutely.
That's another thing that we have to do before Trinity becomes mature. Yeah.
Yes, David, you've raised so many important points. You've been brave to come on. We respect you so much for doing that. That was something that some CEOs may not have even done. So sincerely, on behalf of all the people who wanted to know about this interview and who are watching, thank you for being on. Is there anything you wanted to finish off in saying? If you want to send a message to the whole the community, the crypto community who are interested in the Trinity and Neo networks? What would you like to say to finish off?
Well, because I've been communicating with the community quite often recently in our Telegram group, so I know your questions and problems. So just one thing I have to say, and I have to stress, I know a lot of people are new. I can tell you guys are new, quite new. So when you're coming here and also you're calling this an investment, I want you guys to know that for you guys, we are thinking, like we said, this is a donation, and what you get in return, the TNC, are for you to test this network. We want to get involved in many ways, but not through speculation. In many ways, community events, promotion, technology discussion, everything, but not through speculation. I know it is something, it's people's freedom, and we will finish the basic practices for that. But I want our Telegram group less speculation focused.
I see.
And that will serve all of us in the long term. And I assure you guys, all of your problems are actually fine with me, because there are things that I cannot tell you yet, but you know, I have served so many ICOs, so it is quite frankly impossible for us to, you know, fail with those nuances before you guys.
Right.
So I hope that you can be more active, and we will soon launch an incentive program for community contributors, and to realize, you know, a long-term stability in our community. And hope you guys can, you know, enjoy the token sale. But again, I don't want you guys to look at this as very much of a speculation. If you really go to your fate, you don't feel that good, please do not participate. And that's all I can say.
And David, thank you. And to just interject, thank you also for being brave enough to make an apology for some of the errors of your team. That also indicates us the strengths of a company when they can acknowledge those weaknesses and improve them. You've really hit a home run on the clarification of the on-chain and off-chain, so thank you for that. And finally, just a thank you once again. So it's obviously David Li, the founder of Trinity Network. Thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it, and we look forward to talking to you in the future.
Thank you. Thank you, Brad.